The galaxy's oldest species declines to visit Earth. Why? Part 1. The Invitation. The Great Hall was quiet. Park stood at the center of the Galactic Council chamber, her heart beating fast in her chest. Around her, hundreds of alien species watched from their seats. Some had scales, some had feathers, some were made of light itself. All of them waited for her to speak. Was the ambassador of Earth. She was 38 years old, with short black hair and calm eyes that hid her nervousness well. She had trained her whole life for this moment. 50 years ago, humans had discovered that they were not alone in the universe. 50 years ago, they had joined the Galactic Council as the members. Now, finally, they had earned a great honor. "Distinguished members of the Council," said, her voice clear and strong, "Earth formally requests to host the Grand Convocation." A murmur passed through the crowd. The Grand Convocation was the most important gathering in the galaxy. It happened only once every 1,000 years. Every spacefaring species would come together on one world to share knowledge, make peace, and celebrate the gift of life among the stars. No young species had ever been chosen to host it, until now. The council president, a tall being with silver skin and 6 eyes, nodded slowly. "The request is accepted. Earth will host the Grand Convocation." Felt tears in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. She bowed deeply. "Thank you. Earth welcomes all who wish to come." One by one, the species confirmed their attendance. The wise beings who lived for thousands of years said yes. The fierce warriors who had become peaceful farmers said yes. The creatures made of living crystal who sang instead of spoke said yes. Every species said yes. Except one. The chamber fell silent when the speaker stood. They were different from all other species. They were the oldest civilization in the known galaxy. Their history stretched back 9 billion years, longer than most stars had existed. They had watched empires rise and fall like waves on an ocean. They had seen things no other species could imagine. The speaker was tall and thin, with skin like dark wood and eyes that glowed with soft golden light. When it spoke, its voice was like wind through ancient trees. "We respectfully decline," the speaker said. "We will not visit Earth." The silence that followed was heavy, felt her stomach drop. "May I ask why?" she said, keeping her voice steady. The speaker looked at her for a long moment. Its golden eyes seemed sad. "We advise others to reconsider as well," it said, and then it sat down. That was all. No explanation, no reason, just a simple refusal and a warning to others. The chamber exploded into noise. Species shouted questions. Diplomats argued with each other. The council president tried to restore order, but it took many minutes before the hall was quiet again. Stood frozen in place. Her mind raced with questions. What had humanity done wrong? Was Earth dangerous somehow? Did they know something terrible about humans that others did not? She tried to speak to the delegation after the meeting, but they were already gone. Their ships had left the station before anyone could stop them. Back on Earth, Director Han received the news with a grim face. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 30 years working to make humanity respected in the galaxy. Now, with a few words, that had put everything at risk. "This is a disaster," said Admiral, slamming his hand on the table. "If the oldest species in the galaxy warns others not to visit Earth, what will everyone think?" "They will think we are dangerous," said Dr. Shin, the lead diplomat. She was a small woman with gentle features, but her mind was sharp as a blade. "They will think we are hiding something." "We are not hiding anything," said firmly. "We have been nothing but peaceful since joining the council." "That does not matter," replied. "What matters is what others believe, and right now they believe they know something about us that we do not." The room fell silent. Everyone knew she was right. In the days that followed, the damage became clear. 3 species their confirmation to attend the convocation. Others sent messages asking questions that humanity could not answer. The whisper of fear spread through the galaxy like a disease. Why would they refuse to visit Earth? What did they know? What were they afraid of? Worked day and night trying to contact the. She sent messages to their. She asked other species to speak on humanity's behalf. She did everything she could think of. They answered none of her messages. After 2 weeks of silence, Director made a decision. We cannot wait for answers that may never come, he said. We must go to them. We must find out the truth ourselves. He turned to look at the star map on the wall. Far away, at the very edge of the galaxy where stars grew thin and old, sat the. No human had ever been there. Few species had visited and returned. We will send a ship, said. Our best people. They will go to thee and ask them directly why they refuse to come to Earth. And if they refuse to answer, asked. Was quiet for a moment, then he shook his head. Then we will have to live with a mystery that may haunt humanity forever. The mission was approved that same day. In 3 weeks, a ship would launch toward the edge of the galaxy, carrying with it the hopes and fears of all humankind. Watched the preparations from her office window. She did not know what the crew would find when they reached the. She did not know if they would return with answers or more questions. But she knew one thing for certain. Whatever they were afraid of, humanity deserved to know the truth. And the truth, when it finally came, would change everything. The galaxy's oldest species declines to visit Earth. Why? Part 2. The Investigation. The ship was called Horizon's Edge. It was not the biggest ship in Earth's fleet, but it was the fastest. Its hull was painted dark blue, and its engines glowed with soft white light. Inside, a crew of 20 prepared for the longest journey any human had ever taken. Captain stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the main window. She was 42 years old, with strong shoulders and eyes that had seen many strange things. She had commanded ships for 15 years. She had visited dozens of alien worlds, but she had never been to the edge of the galaxy. All systems ready, Captain, said Lieutenant from her station. Was young, only 25, with a round face and quick hands. She was the communications officer, and she had a special gift. She could see patterns in data that others missed. Some people called it luck. Others called it genius. Just called it paying attention. Good, said. Begin the jump sequence. The ship shook gently as its engines powered up. Outside, the stars stretched into long lines of light. Then, with a flash, the horizon's edge jumped into faster-than-light travel. The journey would take 3 months. 3 months of traveling through empty space, past dead stars and forgotten worlds. 3 months of wondering what waited for them at the end. Doctor spent most of that time in his lab. He was the ship's, which meant he studied alien cultures. He had spent 20 years learning about them from afar. He had read every report, studied every recording, and interviewed every species that had ever met them. But he had never seen an in person. What do we actually know about them? Asked him one evening over dinner. Put down his chopsticks and thought carefully. He was a thin man with messy hair and glasses that he was always pushing up his nose. We know they are old, he said. Very old. Their civilization began when our sun was still a cloud of dust. They have watched the birth and death of countless species. Do they fight? Do they have wars? Not anymore, maybe not ever. They seem to believe that violence is pointless, a waste of time. Frowned. Then why would they be afraid of us? Humans have been peaceful since joining the council. Shook his head slowly. That is what I cannot understand. They have never shown fear before. They have watched empires burn and species die. They have seen horrors we cannot imagine, and through it all they remained calm. But not with us, said from across the table. She had been listening quietly. With us they are afraid. Yes, agreed, and I want to know why. The months passed slowly. The crew trained, studied, and prepared for whatever they might find. Held meetings every week to discuss what they knew and what they did not know. The answer was always the same. They knew almost nothing. Finally, on the 92nd day, they arrived. It was called Prime. It sat alone in a region of space where stars were rare. The nearest sun was so far away that it looked like just another point of light in the sky. "It is beautiful," whispered. She was right. The planet was covered in vast gardens of silver and gold. Rivers wound through forests of trees with leaves like glass. There were no cities, no towers, no signs of the technology that must exist. Everything looked natural, as if the planet itself had grown this way. "I am not detecting any weapons," reported. "No shields, no defense systems, nothing." "They do not need them," said softly. "Who would attack the oldest species in the galaxy?" Took a deep breath. "Send a message. Tell them we come in peace. Tell them we only want to talk." The answer came quickly. A calm voice, neither male nor female, spoke through the ship's speakers. "Humans of Earth, we have been expecting you. You may land in the Garden of First Light. One called the Witness will speak with you." The shuttle touched down on soft grass that felt like silk under their feet. The air smelled sweet, like flowers after rain. Everything was quiet. No wind, no animals, no sound at all except their own breathing. The Witness was waiting for them. It was tall, almost 3 meters high, with skin like polished dark wood. Its eyes were large and golden, and they held a light that seemed to come from somewhere very far away. It wore simple robes of white cloth, and it moved with a slowness that made every step seem important. "Welcome to Prime," the Witness said. Its voice was gentle, like a parent speaking to a child. "You have traveled far." "We have come to understand," said, bowing her head in respect. "Your people refused to visit Earth. You warned others to stay away. We need to know why." The Witness was silent for a long moment. Its golden eyes studied each of the humans carefully, as if reading something written on their souls. "You wish to know why we will not come," it finally said. "The answer is simple: we are afraid." Blinked in surprise. Of all the answers she had expected, this was not one of them. Afraid of what? The Witness looked at her with those ancient, glowing eyes. There was no anger in them, no hatred, only something that looked very much like sadness. "Of your kind," it said. The words hung in the air like smoke. Felt her heart beating fast, beside her, and stood frozen, unable to speak. "I do not understand," said slowly. "We have never hurt you, we have never threatened you, we have been nothing but peaceful." "Yes," the Witness agreed, "and that is part of what frightens us." It turned and began to walk toward a large structure in the distance. It looked like a hill covered in flowers, but could see doors built into its side. "Come," the Witness said. "If you truly wish to understand, you must see what we have seen. You must learn what we have learned in 9 billion years of watching." It paused and looked back at them. "Only then will you understand why humanity is the most terrifying species we have ever known." Looked at her crew. She saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. They had come too far to turn back now. "Lead the way," she said. And together, they followed the Witness into the darkness. The galaxy's oldest species declines to visit Earth. Why? Part 3: The Memory. The tunnel went deep into the ground. The walls were smooth and warm, and they glowed with a soft light that had no source. Walked behind the Witness with and close behind her. None of them spoke. The silence felt too heavy for words. After what felt like hours, they entered a massive chamber. It was so large that could not see the ceiling or the far walls. The space was filled with floating crystals, millions of them, each one glowing with different colors. They hung in the air like frozen stars. "This is the archive of ends," the Witness said. "Here, we keep our memories of every species we have ever known." Stepped forward, his eyes wide with wonder. "Every species, from 9 billion years. Yes, we have watched them all, their births, their lives, their deaths. We remember everything." The Witness raised one long hand. and a cluster of crystals floated toward them. Images appeared in the air, moving pictures of alien worlds and strange creatures. "We have seen patterns," the witness continued. "After so many years, we understand how civilizations work. They are born in fire and struggle. They grow strong and proud. They reach their peak, their golden age, and then they fall. Some fall to war, some to disease. Some simply grow tired and fade away. But they all follow the same path. They are all predictable." The images changed, showing dozens of species rising and falling like waves on a beach. Great empires built towers to the sky, then crumbled to dust. Peaceful worlds bloomed with life, then grew cold and empty. The pattern repeated again and again. "We can predict them," the witness said. "We know when they will rise. We know when they will fall. We know what they will do before they do it. This knowledge gives us peace. It lets us watch without fear." Raised her hand like a student in class. "But you cannot predict us." The witness turned to look at her. For the first time, thought she saw something like emotion in its ancient eyes. "No, we cannot." The crystals rearranged themselves and new images appeared. These showed Earth, blue oceans, green forests, cities of steel and glass, and humans, billions of humans living their short and busy lives. "We first noticed your species 200 years ago," the witness said. "You were young and primitive, fighting with simple weapons over small pieces of land. We expected you to destroy yourselves. Most species do at your stage." The images showed wars and suffering, bombs falling, cities burning, pain and death on a massive scale. "You should have died," the witness said simply, "but you did not." The images changed. Now they showed humans rebuilding, helping each other, creating new things from the ashes of the old. This was strange to us but not alarming. Some species survived their violent years, but then we watched more closely, and we saw things that made no sense. New images appeared. A spaceship old and damaged, floating in the darkness between stars. "This was one of your colony ships," the witness explained. "It lost power far from any sun. Its crew should have died. Our calculations said they had a 0% chance of survival. Zero, not small. Zero." The image showed humans working together, using broken parts to fix broken machines, sharing their food until there was almost none left, holding each other in the cold darkness. "They survived," the witness said, "all of them. They reached their destination and built a new home. Our prediction was wrong." Pushed his glasses up his nose. "Perhaps your calculations had an error." "We do not make errors. We have predicted the fate of 10,000 species without a single mistake. Until you." More images appeared. A disease spreading across Earth, killing millions. Scientists working day and night in small rooms. Doctors falling asleep at their desks from exhaustion. "This sickness should have ended your civilization. It was too strong, too fast. Our models said you needed 500 years to develop a cure. You did it in 2. "The Great Plague," whispered. She remembered learning about it in school. Her grandmother had lived through it. "Yes, and there are more examples, many more." The images came faster now. Wars that should have destroyed nations but instead made them stronger. Disasters that should have broken human spirit but instead brought people together. Again and again, humanity faced impossible situations and found ways through them. "You defy probability," the witness said. "You break our models. You do things that should not be possible." It turned to face them directly, and now could see the fear clearly in its golden eyes. "But that is not the worst part. The worst part is how you do it." "What do you mean?" asked. "Your emotions, your feelings, they make no logical sense. You feel love for strangers you have never met. You sacrifice yourselves for people you will never know. You hope when there is no reason to hope. You fight when fighting is useless. You are irrational, chaotic, unpredictable." The witness spread its arms wide, gesturing to all the crystals in the vast chamber. In 9 billion years, we have understood every species we have met. We knew what they would do, why they would do it, and when they would do it. But you, we cannot read you, cannot model you, cannot understand you. You are chaos given form. You are the unknown made flesh. Stepped forward. Is that really so frightening? We have never hurt you, we have never even tried. That is what frightens us most, the witness replied. We do not know if you will hurt us. We do not know what you will do tomorrow or next year or in 1,000 years. You might become the greatest force for good the galaxy has ever seen, or you might burn everything to ashes. We simply do not know. The chamber was silent. The crystals floated peacefully, holding their ancient memories. We have lived for 9 billion years by understanding the universe, the witness said softly. And then you came, a species we cannot understand, a species that breaks every rule we thought was true. It looked at with those sad golden eyes. We do not hate you, we do not wish you harm, but we cannot be near you. Your presence reminds us that the universe is not as safe as we believed, that there are things even we cannot know, that the future is truly unknown. Stood still, processing everything she had heard. The oldest species in the galaxy, beings who had seen the birth and death of stars, were afraid of humanity, not because humans were violent or cruel, but because humans were unpredictable, because humans could not be understood. She did not know if she should feel proud or sad, perhaps both. Thank you for telling us, she finally said. I understand better now, but I still wish you would visit Earth. I wish you would give us a chance to show you who we really are. The witness was quiet for a long time. Perhaps, it said at last, perhaps one day we will find the courage, but not yet, we are not ready. It began to lead them back toward the surface. Take what you have learned back to your people, let them know the truth, and then, perhaps we will see what happens next. Followed in silence, her mind full of thoughts. She had found her answer, but she was not sure if it was the answer she wanted. Now she had to bring it home. The galaxy's oldest species declines to visit Earth. Why? Part 4, The Debate. The horizon's edge returned to Earth on a cold winter morning. Snow was falling over the capital city when Captain stepped off the shuttle and into a crowd of waiting officials. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions, but walked past them all without speaking. She had nothing to say until she reached Director Han. They met in a secure room deep underground. No windows, no recordings, just a table, some chairs, and the weight of what she had learned pressing down on everyone present. Told them everything, the archive of ends, the crystals of memory, the words of the witness. When she finished, the room was silent for a long time. Director rubbed his tired eyes. They fear us because they cannot predict us. Yes, said. They have watched civilizations for 9 billion years. They understand everything, everything except us. We break their models. We do things that should be impossible, and that terrifies them. Admiral laughed, but there was no humor in it. So the oldest beings in the galaxy are scared of humans because we are too strange. That is insane. Is it? Dr. Shin asked quietly. She had been listening with her hands folded in her lap. Think about it from their view. They have spent billions of years learning the rules of the universe. And then we come along and break those rules without even trying. Of course they are afraid. But we have done nothing wrong, the Admiral argued. We have been peaceful. We have followed every law of the Council. We deserve to be treated with respect, not fear. Fear is not about what we deserve, replied. Fear is about what people feel, and feelings do not follow logic. The debate went on for hours. Some wanted to ignore and move forward with the grand convocation anyway. Others wanted to cancel the event and avoid more trouble. A few suggested sending military ships to show that humanity was strong and should not be feared. Listen to all of them. He had led humanity's diplomatic efforts for 30 years. He had seen good ideas and bad ideas, and he knew that none of these ideas would solve the real problem. "We are thinking about this wrong," he finally said. Everyone stopped talking and looked at him. "They are not our enemies, they are not trying to hurt us, they are simply scared. And you cannot defeat fear with force or ignore it with silence. Fear must be faced, understood, healed." "How do we heal the fear of beings who have lived for 9 billion years?" the Admiral asked. "I do not know," admitted, "but I know someone who might." He called Ambassador Park. Arrived the next day. She looked tired. The past months had been hard for her. Many species had pulled away from Earth because of this warning. She had spent every day trying to repair the damage with little success. But when she heard the full story, her eyes changed. The tiredness faded. Something new appeared in its place, something that looked like hope. "They are afraid of our chaos," she said slowly, thinking out loud. "They cannot predict us. They do not know what we will do." "Yes," confirmed. "The witness said we are the first species they have ever failed to understand." Stood up and walked to the window. Outside, snow was still falling. Children were playing in the streets, throwing snowballs and laughing. She watched them for a long moment. "Then let us do something predictable," she said. "What do you mean?" asked. "Turn back to face the room. They fear us because they do not know what we will do next. So let us do something that no species in their 9 billion years of watching has ever done. Something so simple, so obvious that even they could have predicted it, if they had ever seen anyone do it before." "What is that?" asked. "Let us go to them," said. "Not to demand answers, not to threaten, not to negotiate or bargain or prove our strength. Let us simply go and ask them one question. What do you need from us to feel safe?" The room was silent. Everyone stared at her. "That is it," the Admiral said. "Just ask them what they need." Yes, when someone is afraid, you do not fight them. You do not run away. You do not ignore their fear. You sit with them. You listen. You ask how you can help. That is what good people do. That is what humans do when we are at our best. Leaned back in his chair. A small smile appeared on his face. "It is simple." "The best ideas usually are," replied. "They might refuse to meet with us again," warned. "They might send us away without listening." "Maybe, but at least we will have tried. At least we will have shown them that we are not the monsters they fear. We are just people, strange people, chaotic people, but people who care about others, even others who are afraid of us." The debate continued for another hour, but the decision was already made. Humanity would not respond to fear with force. They would not hide from this warning. Instead, they would do the one thing that no one expected. They would offer kindness. 3 months later, the preparations were complete. A small shuttle was chosen, the smallest in the fleet. It would carry no weapons, no soldiers, no threats of any kind. Just Ambassador Park, captain, and a few others. And a gift, a simple gift that had chosen herself. "Seeds," she explained to the press before leaving. "Seeds from Earth's oldest trees. They cannot speak or think or move, but they grow slowly. They follow patterns. They are something the might understand." "And if they do not accept your gift?" a reporter asked. Smiled softly. "Then we will try again and again, as many times as it takes. That is what hope means. You do not give up just because things are hard." The shuttle launched into the cold night sky. It carried with it the hopes and dreams of all humanity. And as it disappeared into the darkness between stars, everyone on Earth held their breath. Would they listen? Would they understand? No one knew, but for the first time in months, people felt something other than fear. They felt hope. And hope, as had said, was the most human thing of all. The galaxy's oldest species declines to visit Earth. Why? Part 5: The Visit. The shuttle was small and quiet. It held only 6 people. Park sat near the front, looking out at the endless darkness of space. Captain sat beside her, checking reports on a small screen. Behind them, Lieutenant and Doctor talked in soft voices about what might happen next. No one really knew. The journey took 4 months, 4 months of silence and waiting, 4 months of hopping that would not send them away. When they finally reached Prime, no message came to greet them. The planet hung in space like a jewel, beautiful and quiet. Its gardens of silver and gold stretched across the land like paintings. "Should we send a message?" asked. "No," said calmly. We came uninvited. It is polite to wait." They waited for 3 days, spent the time looking at the planet through the window. She did not eat much. She did not sleep much. She simply watched and waited. On the 4th day, a voice came through the speakers. It was the same calm voice from before, neither male nor female. "Humans of Earth, you may land. The witness will see you." The shuttle touched down in the same place where it had landed months ago. The Garden of First Light was even more beautiful than she remembered. Flowers of every color bloomed in perfect rows. Trees with crystal leaves sang softly in a breeze that could not be felt. The witness stood waiting for them. It looked exactly the same as before, tall and thin, with skin like polished wood and eyes like captured stars. "You have returned," it said. Its voice held no anger but no warmth either, just ancient, patient calm. "Yes," said. She stepped forward slowly, holding a small box in her hands. "I hope we are not unwelcome. You came despite our warning, despite knowing we are afraid of your kind." "Because of it," replied. "You told us you were afraid. In our culture, when someone we respect is afraid, we do not demand they face their fear. We do not ignore them. We ask how we can help." She held out the box. The witness looked at it but did not move to take it. "What is this?" "A gift, seeds from the oldest trees on Earth. Some of these trees were alive before humans learned to write. They are slow. They are patient. They follow patterns that even you might understand." She opened the box. Inside were dozens of small seeds of different shapes and sizes. Brown, black, golden, tiny pieces of Earth's history. "We know that we are strange to you," continued. "We know that you cannot predict us. We know that this frightens you. But we wanted you to have something from us that is simple, something that grows slowly and follows rules, something that might help you remember that not everything about us is chaos." The witness reached out one long, wooden hand and touched the seeds gently. Its golden eyes studied them for a long moment. "Why?" it asked. "Why do you bring gifts to those who have refused you? Why do you travel so far to comfort those who have warned others against you? This makes no sense." Smiled softly. "I know that is what humans do. We do things that make no sense. We love people who hurt us. We hope when there is no reason. We try when trying is useless. It is our greatest weakness, and maybe our greatest strength." The witness was silent for a very long time. The garden around them seemed to hold its breath. "In 9 billion years," it finally said, "no species has ever responded to our fear with gentleness, with patience, with gifts and kind words when we gave none." It looked up from the seeds and Met's eyes. "This is why you frighten us, because you do things we have never seen before, things we cannot explain, things that break every pattern we thought was true." Nodded slowly. "I understand. But this is also," the witness continued, "perhaps why you give us hope." The words hung in the air like sunrise, felt tears forming in her eyes. Beside her, grabbed arm tightly. "Hope," repeated. "We have watched species for 9 billion years. We have seen them follow the same paths again and again. Rise and fall, build and destroy, love and hate, always the same, always predictable, and always in the end they fade away." The witness closed the box of seeds gently. "But you are different. You break the patterns. You do impossible things. You survive when you should die. You love when you should hate. You hope when hope is foolish." It looked at with something new in its ancient eyes, something that might have been wonder. "Perhaps you are not something to fear. Perhaps you are something we have been waiting for without knowing it. A species that can change the patterns, that can write new rules, that can create futures we have never imagined. Does this mean you will visit Earth? Asked. The witness was quiet for a moment, then slowly it nodded. We will send a delegation. A small one at first. We will watch, we will learn, we will try to understand. Bowed her head deeply. Thank you. You are welcome anytime for as long as you wish to stay. We will never fully lose our fear of you, the witness warned. You are still chaos, still unpredictable, still unknown. That is okay, said. We do not need you to stop being afraid. We just want the chance to show you who we really are. 6 months later, the first shuttle landed on Earth. It touched down in a quiet garden outside the capital city, far from cameras and crowds. Only a few humans were there to greet them. The witness stepped out onto Earth's soil for the first time. It looked around at the trees, the flowers, the sky filled with clouds. It breathed air that smelled of rain and growing things. It is beautiful, it said. Welcome to Earth, replied. They stayed for 10 years. They watched humans live their lives. They saw children play and old people die. They watched wars end and new countries born. They saw love and loss and everything in between. They saw chaos, beautiful, terrifying, wonderful chaos. And slowly, very slowly, they began to understand. Humans were not predictable. They would never be predictable. They would always do impossible things, feel impossible feelings, hope impossible hopes. But that was not something to fear. It was something to celebrate. On the day the witness left Earth to return home, it stood with Park in the garden where it had first arrived. The seeds she had given them had grown into small trees, their leaves bright green in the sunlight. We came here afraid, the witness said. We leave here, changed. Good changed or bad changed? Asked. The witness looked at her with those ancient, golden eyes, and for the first time in 9 billion years, it smiled. Different changed, and for beings as old as us, different is the rarest gift of all. It placed one wooden hand on her shoulder. Thank you, Park. Thank you for teaching us that the unknown is not always something to fear. Sometimes it is something to love. Watched the shuttle rise into the sky and disappear among the stars. She stood in the garden for a long time after, thinking about everything that had happened. Humanity had been feared, then understood, then welcomed. Not because they had changed who they were, but because they had shown who they were with courage and kindness. In the end, that was all anyone could do. Be yourself, be brave, be kind. And trust that the universe will learn to love you for exactly who you are. The end.